Can't win, don't lose is a well-worn footballing phrrise. Does it apply to Arsenal tonight?
Well, we know that the margins are very small. I think we have two different halves. The first one where we have a lot of domination, created some big situation with players almost inside the 6-yard box to pick a player up, and we didn't find the right pass to score the goal. And the second half was a bit more a struggle. We were very imprecise with the ball, which didn't allow us to counter press and be very close to the structure. Obviously, they have a lot of midfielders. They start to drop everybody, so they can put a lot of passes together outside the organization without really having anybody in the box. Because I don't think we conceded a single shot, apart from the mistake that we did in the first half. But these games then need some magic moment, and at Anfield, so they did it and they won the game. And today it didn't happen, but you cannot win it. You know that you cannot lose it.
You said before the match you kind of knew how they would play from seeing their team. Mm-hmm. Did they do what you expected?
Yeah.
Go on. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, you see the game, so I knew that we're pulling a lot of midfielders in. You know what they're going to have. I knew that they're not going to be very aggressive in the high press, that after they're going to want to start to drop everybody, with Wirtz playing as a false nine and being difficult to press them if you don't regain the ball in the next 3 or 4 passes. And that's what we expected. And then we have some moments where we have the right positional advantages to really hurt them, and when we got into these areas, we lacked that quality to pick the player and score goals.
Yeah, and maybe a few balls flashed across their goal mouth that you would have wanted someone on the end of.
And 2 or 3 times that Victor is completely free between the keeper and the centre backs, and a lot of situations that we get there. The final one that we have an incredible cross from Noni, and Gavi is there. Normally it's a goal, and it is not, but that's football. I mean, we come from a very, very demanding schedule. The last 6 games that we play in this Christmas period, and we've come out of that in a really strong position.
Yeah, so just in terms of maybe not only Gyökeres, but probably every attacking player on both sides having a difficult night, would you say that's more down, in Victor's case, to a lack of supply to him than anything he did right or wrong tonight?
No, he did a lot of things right. At the end, the ball has to arrive there to have the opportunity to do it, and you're playing against 2 world-class centre-backs as well, that they know very well what to do to stop you. That's why they are the champions.
Can you just tell us, you've obviously worked with them for a long time, the type of character Gabriel Martinelli is, because there's obviously that moment at the end where it looks like Conor Bradley might be seriously injured, and he goes to roll him off the pitch. Has he just made a mistake there, your player?
Probably he doesn't know, because knowing Gavi is zero intention. I don't know what happened to Conor, but hopefully it's not bad, but obviously there is no intention from Gavi to do anything bad to him.
Thank you for answering that. Just summing up the whole period then, you touched on it already. I think you went into the Everton game just before Christmas, actually at kick-off, second in the table. You come out of that schedule 6 points clear. So overall, I guess you feel really positive about what you've done over the last few weeks.
I think the desire and the quality that the boys showed in this period, which is the most demanding one through the year, to do what they've done, big credit to them. And as I said, coming out through that period in the position that we are, I think we have to be proud. There are things to improve as always, and today we're going to get a few of them to be better, and we keep going.
Okay, so it doesn't feel like too much of an opportunity missed tonight?
You want to take all of them, but if that's the case, you will be 15 points ahead, you know, and this is the Premier League, and we all know how difficult it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Match winner, of course, back in August. Liverpool are only the 2nd team all season to come here to the Emirates and stop Arsenal winning in the Premier League. Now, they didn't have a shot on target. The first time that's happened for Liverpool in the Premier League for 16 years. However, when you listen to what Dominik Szoboszlai is saying, is it a step forward? Is it proof again, without some big hitters, that they can compete with the league leaders?
It absolutely is. I mean, first half was definitely Arsenal's on points. Liverpool reversed that in the second half. OK, Arsenal had a late flurry, but Liverpool were the better team in the second half. And I said before the game, you know, when you're champions, when you're great players like they've got, and even though they're underperforming a little bit this season, when you're playing against other great players, when you come to a stage like this, you've got something about you that says we're not going to get embarrassed, that we're not going to get beaten by these today. And the performances of the likes of Konate, Van Dijk, etc., was that of champions, I think. Listen, even if you're the best team in the world coming to the Emirates, a draw is always a good. It's hard to go away from home. It's hard to play against a top team, and I don't care whether you're in flying form or if you're struggling for a result. That's a really good performance from Liverpool.
What percentage of that was credit Liverpool, and what percentage maybe was Arsenal not quite firing on all cylinders?
I think you have to credit Liverpool for their second half performance, but I think for the first half performance, I thought we created enough chances and got the ball in the box on occasions where you have to take those opportunities, because that you're not going to get too many more that we saw in the second half. And I think Liverpool in the second half, they realised, let's keep the ball, let's see what we can do, let's hit them on the break. I think Liverpool had the better chances. But again, I think it's another one for Arsenal to learn about at this stage of the season. I'm quite pleased that in the end they managed it to get a point rather than not get anything, because they're still in pole position. That was a tough game in the second half, simply because I think that you have to be more ruthless in the first half about the chances what you're creating to take, because chances, they change games. And if they score them chances, they don't get nervous in the second half, they don't drop off a bit, they don't give Liverpool the time that they had, they would go for them a little bit more. And I think that's what happened. You have to take those chances, what you create in the first half, to finish teams off. You've got to be ruthless. And if you don't, the club like Liverpool and a team like Liverpool, they'll bite you.
And in terms of chances, was that just what was missing from Liverpool today? You heard Dominic Szoboszlai say he had a few shots there. They didn't have, like I say, one on target in the whole game. It's just that final ball, that lacking that little bit of quality at times.
It was, and it's understandable when you look at, the types of player that are missing. The Mo Salahs, the Isaks, the Ekitiké's. A couple of players, Frimpong, for example, getting in really good positions and just not having that end product. A couple of easy balls, actually. But as we were saying, the closer to the goal you get, the harder it gets, and that's where you start having to make the difference. Let's say lots of players can do frilly skills outside the box and around the halfway line, but as soon as the final ball, the final finish, that's the most important thing in football. Liverpool just lacked that a little bit, but as I say, a fair excuse when you've got all those players that are missing. But overall, I think Arne Slot will be pleased with the performance.
Just on your point about the contrasting halves, right? You have a look at the numbers from the first half.
Exact Time's Time Clock app is a user-friendly and
compared to the second, when Arsenal, obviously, as Michael said, had the better of the first half. They had more possession. They had those 6 shots. In the second half, they had less shots. 66 possession for Liverpool, and twice as many passes in the final third. What was the reason for Arsenal in that second half, do you feel? Couldn't quite get a grip of the game?
I didn't think like the closing down initially to get to Liverpool. I didn't think that happened. I think as soon as Liverpool got the ball, kind of dropped off, and just then Liverpool go across, see if they could pass it through, then they try and win it back then and try to break. I didn't think that was working very well for us. Thought maybe the substitutions could have been a little bit earlier to get a little bit more energy. Would like to have seen Jesus earlier, maybe Noni Madueke a little bit earlier to get a little bit more pace, a little bit more buzz, a little bit more. I thought that came, and we saw a little bit with Noni Madueke, but by then, I think that the second half, what we showed was a team that is trying to finish it, and you could feel nerves. I think there was a little bit of nerves. I thought that there was a little bit of let's just be careful here. Let's not lose this now. And I think that what we've got to have there, I think the attitude we've got to have is we've got to be, we're going to win this. And then if we don't win it, okay, we'll take that. But we can't be safe. I thought we felt a little bit safe and nervous there.
Do you think Liverpool sensed that in the stadium as longer that second half went on?
A little bit, and they grew in confidence as well. As soon as you start knocking a few balls around, then you start growing into it and thinking, hang on a minute, we can get something here. I think from Arsenal's point of view, they're a very efficient side. They're not going to blow anybody away. They're not like a Manchester City that can beat somebody 5 or 6-0, or a Liverpool, when they were absolutely flying a year or two ago. I think Arsenal are based on a really good goalkeeper, really good defence, efficient midfield. I think it's a very, very solid team that are going to win games 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 maybe. But they don't blast you away with dozens and dozens of chances, but they look so. I mean, it's very, very difficult to beat them. They're so good at the back. They're so solid. They're so well drilled. It's hard to create chances against Arsenal. I think you saw an efficient display from Arsenal, and if they could have nicked a goal, they could have nicked a goal in the last few seconds. I'm sure we'll go on to see that set piece, and that wouldn't have been typical. That would have been unfair to Arsenal to say that. But that's what they're a very efficient team. You never feel as if they're flustered or under pressure. Whereas obviously, the teams that have won the league over the recent years have been very good attacking team that might concede. Liverpool concede a lot of goals, even when they're winning leagues and whatever, but they were just a real expansive team, where I think Arsenal are a bit more efficient, and it was important for them not to lose today.
I would say, though, Mike, what with those teams that you mentioned, they've got a striker that can, in those moments, Mick, you know what it's like when the game's tight. You can see you're not going to get many chances like you saw against a Liverpool, and you do need. That's what we thought we bought, and that's what you need, because if we're going to talk about the balls that went across the goal all the way through, when you're paying that kind of money, you want something. They've got to be there, and that's what makes the difference in games like this. Because the first half we created enough for us to get something. It didn't happen because we didn't have someone to take the chance, and we done that in. And then the second half, you get more and more nervous because of everything what's encapsulating with what Arsenal are trying to do. It's all, everybody's worried about it, and you can feel it. You can feel them getting deeper and deeper. And we can't do that. We've got to go for it. We've got to make sure we take these chances and finish games off a little bit more comfortably than we are at the minute.
Very defensive. Second half, they just pass the ball well, Liverpool. They pass the ball really well. Their team for this game is tilted towards possession. Midfield players playing as strikers, coming into the midfield. They kept the ball really well. Disappointment goes back to Arsenal that they couldn't hurry Liverpool a little bit more, press them a little bit better, and get back on the front foot. It's like, wow, OK, this is the way it's going to go. And then thinking from Arsenal's point of view, don't do anything stupid, just keep a clean sheet and put it down to not a great day at the office. Liverpool has still got very good midfield players. Talked about the midfield kind of challenges from both teams. And Liverpool were better. They didn't create anything. They had no shots on target in the game. But the possession was their way of defending, different to the first half, that it was very deep and let Arsenal to have it. I just would have expected Arsenal be a little bit more aggressive to win the ball back and get back on the front foot.
Well, you both had Arsenal to win, and at half-time you both had Arsenal to find a way. You surprised they didn't?
Surprised. I think we're seeing this tactic a little bit, and I credit Slot with it. We're seeing teams now go into first half and basically say, this is our tactic. And if we get to halftime and we're safe, we're 1-0 down or 0-0, then we can turn the dial.
A bit like Aston Villa?
Yeah, we're seeing that throughout the Premier League, and it's seemingly working. So, again, Slot he's a good manager. He knew the tactic today, and like you, I was surprised that at home Arsenal couldn't figure out, okay, we're taking your punch here, but we're gonna get back on the front foot. They just were never able to regain that, and that's odd in over the course of 45 minutes for Arsenal.
Go on, you want to say?
No, I just think the second half I made a note just a little flat. And it's hard to Arsenal make these big occasions, right? The Villa game at home and the fans and the manager revving everybody up and Arsenal flying out the blocks and it being brilliant. It's hard to do that all the time. Especially,
do you think as well, sorry to interrupt you, Musty, that when you're trying to go 8 points clear, it's not like you're trying to go too clear. Like you're so far ahead in one way that maybe sometimes it isn't. It's difficult to keep revving up when you're just trying to extend that lead.
And might those players think, do we have to go again here to try and force another spectacular victory, another statement win and all that? And they might have been a bit, you know what, this is difficult because Arsenal moving the ball really well, and it's one of them where they go and close down and get their early on. Just as I think about it right now, Miles Lewis-Skelly, by the way, that was a problem for Arsenal. He's into the game for Nketiah, was injured, and where Liverpool's goal might have come from is Frimpong versus Lewis-Skelly. And that's concerning for me. As a young defender, he looked so off the pace and got beat many, many times. That's where the danger was for Arsenal. They got away with it on that side. Other than that, we know they defend strongly. It's just they did look a little flat in the second half, yeah.
In terms of Liverpool, moving forward for the rest of the season, they're not going to have Isak for a long time. Ekitike, we don't know when he's back. How do you think they're going to deal without those front two as we move forward?
Well, that's the problem. I mean, I think they have two really top front players, and again, this is going to be Slot having to sort of interchange. I think Gakpo is a good stopgap. Could we possibly see Mo Salah play as a false nine? He might have to get creative because it's tough having those two out.
I think Ekitike is not far off, is he?
No.
I think it's a hamstring problem. I don't think he's that far away. And Liverpool fans might argue, if we'd have had one of our strikers, we might have won the game today, given the opportunities and some of the balls that flashed into the box. But they didn't create, it didn't look like they were going to score, really, even though they had tons of possession.
Egypt have made the knockout rounds of the African Cup of Nations, so no Mo Salah coming back anytime soon. But could they do with him? We're starting to look like they could do with him.
It looks like they could do with him. There's been very little talk. We thought the Saudi option might be something that we see, given the fallout. That's very quiet. David's not talking about it. David Ornstein's not talking about it. Maybe the thought is, with those two strikers out injured, though Ekitike is back soon, that they could kind of use Salah, you know, maybe a reinvigorated Mo Salah on that right-hand side. That being said, Frimpong was pretty